The Book of Numbers, chapter 19. Ashes of the red heifer. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, "This is the statute for the ritual which the Lord has commanded. Tell the Israelites to procure for you a red heifer, without defect and free from every blemish, and on which no yoke has ever been laid. You will give it to Eleazar the priest, and he will be led outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Eleazar the priest will take some of its blood on his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting. Then the heifer will be burned in his sight. It will be burned with its hide and flesh, its blood and dung, and the priest will take cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet yarn, and throw them into the fire in which the heifer is being burned. The priest shall then wash his garments and bathe his body in water. Afterward, he may enter the camp. The priest remains unclean until the evening. Likewise, the one who burned the heifer shall wash his garments in water, bathe his body in water, and be unclean until evening. Then somebody who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and deposit them in a clean place outside the camp. They are there to be kept to prepare purification water for the Israelite community. This is a purification offering. The one who has gathered up the ashes of the heifer and deposit The one who has gathered up the ashes of the heifer shall also wash his garments and be unclean until evening. This is a permanent statute both for the Israelites and for the alien residing among them. Use of the ashes. Those who touch the corpse of any human being will be unclean for 7 days. They shall purify themselves with the water on the 3rd and on the 7th day, and then be clean. But if they fail to purify themselves on the 3rd and on the 7th day, they will not become clean. Those who touch the corpse of a human being who dies and who fail to purify themselves defile the tabernacle of the Lord, and those persons shall be cut off from Israel. Since the purification water has not been splashed over them, they remain unclean. Their uncleanliness is still on them. This is the ritual. When someone dies in a tent, everyone who enters the tent, as well as everyone already in it, will be unclean for 7 days, and every open vessel with its lid unfastened will be unclean. Moreover, everyone who in the open country touches a person who has been slain by the sword, who has died naturally, or who touches a human bone or a grave will be unclean for 7 days. For anyone who is thus unclean, ashes shall be taken from the burnt purification offering, and spring water will be poured on them from a vessel. Then someone who is clean will take hyssop, dip it in this water, and sprinkle it on the tent and on all the vessels and persons that were in it, or on the one who touched the bone, the slain person, or the other corpse, or the grave. The clean will sprinkle the unclean on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, and thus purify them on the 7th day. Then they will wash their garments and bathe in water, and in the evening be clean. Those who have become unclean and fail to purify themselves, those people will be cut off from the assembly because they defile the sanctuary of the Lord. The purification water has not been splashed over them. They remain unclean. This will be a permanent statute for you. Those who sprinkle the purification water will wash their garments, and those who come in contact with the purification water will be unclean until evening. Moreover, anything that the unclean person touches becomes unclean itself, and the one who touches such a person becomes unclean until evening. The Book of Numbers, chapter 20. Death of Miriam. The Israelites, the whole community, arrived in the wilderness of Zin in the 1st month, and the people stayed at Kadesh. It was here that Miriam died, and here that she was buried. Need for water at Kadesh. Since the community had no water, they held an assembly against Moses and Aaron. The people quarreled with Moses, exclaiming, "Would that we had perished when our kindred perished before the Lord. Why have you brought the Lord's assembly into this wilderness for us and our livestock to die here? Why have you brought us up out of Egypt only to bring us to this wretched place? It is not a place for grain, nor figs, nor vines, nor pomegranates, and there is no water to drink." But Moses and Aaron went away from the assembly to the entrance of the tent of meeting, where they fell prostrate. Sin of Moses and Aaron. Then the glory of the Lord appeared to them, and the Lord said to Moses, "Take the staff and assemble the community. You and Aaron your brother, and in their presence command the rock to yield its waters. Thereby you will bring forth water from the rock for them, and supply the community and their livestock with water." So Moses took the staff from its place before the Lord as he was ordered. Then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly in front of the rock, where he said to them, "Just listen, you rebels. Are we to produce water for you out of this rock?" Then raising his hand, Moses struck the rock twice with his staff, and water came out in abundance, and the community and their livestock drank. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not have confidence in me to acknowledge my holiness before the Israelites, therefore you shall not lead this assembly into the land I have given them. These are the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarreled with the Lord, and through which he displayed his holiness. Edom's refusal. From Kadesh, Moses sent messengers to the king of Edom. Thus says your brother Israel, "You know of all the hardships that have befallen us, how our ancestors went down to Egypt, and how we stayed in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians treated us as our ancestors harshly. When we cried to the Lord, he heard our cry and sent an angel who led us out of Egypt. Now here we are at Kadesh, a town at the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your land. We will not cross any fields or vineyards, nor drink any well water, but we will go straight along the king's highway without turning to the right or to the left, until we have passed through your territory." But Edom answered him, "You shall not pass through here. If you do, I will advance against you with the sword." The Israelites said to him, "We will go up along the highway. If we or our livestock drink any of your water, we will pay for it. It is nothing. Just let us pass through on foot." But Edom replied, "You shall not pass through," and advanced against them with a large and heavily armed force. Therefore, since Edom refused to let Israel pass through their territory, Israel turned away from them. The death of Aaron. Setting out for Kadesh, the Israelites, the whole community, came to Mount Hor. There at Mount Hor, on the border of the land of Edom, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Let Aaron be gathered to his people, for he shall not enter the land I have given to the Israelites, because you both rebelled against my directions. At the waters of Meribah, take Aaron and Eleazar his son, and bring them up on Mount Hor. Then strip Aaron of his garments, and put them on Eleazar his son. But there Aaron shall be gathered up in death." Moses did as the Lord commanded. When they had climbed Mount Hor in view of the whole community, Moses stripped Aaron of his garments and put them on Eleazar his son. Then Aaron died there on top of the mountain. When Moses and Eleazar came down from the mountain, all the community understood that Aaron had breathed his last, and for 30 days the whole house of Israel mourned Aaron. The Book of Numbers, chapter 21. Victory over Arad. When the Canaanite, the king of Arad, who ruled over the Negev, heard that the Israelites were coming along the way of Atharim, he enraged Israel in battle and took some of them captive. Israel then made this vow to the Lord: "If you deliver this people into my hand, I will put their cities under the ban." The Lord paid attention to Israel and delivered up the Canaanites, and they put them and their cities under the ban. Hence that place was called Hormah. The bronze serpent. From Mount Hor they set out the way of the Red Sea to bypass the land of Edom. But the people's patience was worn out by the journey, so the people complained against God and Moses. "Why have you brought us up from Egypt to die in the wilderness, where there is no food or water? We are disgusted with this wretched food." So the Lord sent among the peoples serpents, which bit the people, so that many of the Israelites died. Then the people came to Moses and said, "We have sinned in complaining against the Lord and you. Pray to the Lord to take the serpents from us." So Moses prayed for the people, and the Lord said to Moses, "Make a seraph and mount it on a pole, and everyone who has been bitten will look at it and recover." Accordingly, Moses made a bronze serpent and mounted it on a pole, and whenever the serpent bit someone, the person looked at the bronze serpent and recovered. Journey around Moab. The Israelites moved on and encamped in Oboth. Then they moved on from Oboth and encamped in Liabarim in the wilderness, facing Moab on the east. Moving on from there, they encamped to the Wadi Sered. Moving on from there, they encamped on the other side of the Arnon, in the wilderness that extends from the territory of the Amorites. For the Arnon forms Moab's boundary between Moab and the Amorites. Hence it is said in the book of the wars of the Lord, Wahib in Surfa and the Wadis, Armon and the Wadi gorges that reach back toward the site of Ar and lean against the border of Moab. From there they went to Beer, which is the well of which the Lord said to Moses, Gather the people together so that I may give them water. Then Israel sang this song. Spring up, O well, so sing to it. The well that princes sank, that the nobles of the people dug, with their scepters and their staffs. From the wilderness a gift, from Beer to Nahalael, from Nahalael to Bamoth, from Bamoth to the valley in the country of Moab, at the headland of Pisgah, that overlooks Jeshamon. Victory over Shihon. Now Israel sent messengers to Shihon, king of the Amorites, with the message, Let us pass through your land. We will not turn aside into any field or vineyard, nor will we drink any well water, but we will go straight along the king's highway until we have passed through your territory. Sihon, however, would not permit Israel to pass through his territory, but mustered all his forces and advanced against Israel into the wilderness. When he reached Jahaz, he engaged Israel in battle, but Israel put him to the sword and took possession of his land from the Arnon to the Jabbok, and as far as Yazer of the Ammonites, for Yazer is the boundary of the Ammonites. Israel seized all the towns here, and Israel settled in all the towns of the Amorites, in Heshbon and all its descendancies. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against his former king of Moab, and had taken all his land from him as far as the Arnon. That is why the poets say, Come to Heshbon, let it be rebuilt. Let Sihon's city be firmly constructed, for fire went forth from Heshbon in a blaze. From the city of Sihon it consumed Ar of Moab, and swallowed up the high places of the Arnon. Woe to you, Moab! You are no more people of Shamash. He let his sons become fugitives, and his daughters be taken captive by the Amorite king Sihon. From Heshbon to Dibon, their dominion is no more. Ar is laid waste, fires blaze as far as Medeba. So Israel settled in the land of the Amorites. Moses sent spies to Yazer, and the Israelites captured it with its descendancies and dispossessed the Amorites who were there. Victory over Og. Then they turned and went up along the road to Bashan. But Og, king of Bashan, advanced against them with all his forces to give battle at Edrei. The Lord, however, said to Moses, Do not fear him, for in your hand I deliver him with all his forces and his land. You will do to him as you did to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. So they struck him down with his sons and all his forces, until not a survivor was left to him, and they took possession of his land. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. God bless you.